Hello, Noelia here from the Haliburton County Public Library and Community of Making, and I'm excited to share some more paper circuit tutorials with you. And what's really exciting is we're making this a grab-and-go kit.
Available in Minden and Dysart while supplies last.
I want to let you know that we found our information on PaperCircuits2.mov, and they make all of their resources available to anyone to share and spread knowledge with under a Creative Commons license. I've got everything I need. I've got my binder clip, my battery, my copper foil tape with conductive adhesive backing, my 5 LEDs, my template to follow along with. Other things I'm going to use are ruler, possibly scissors, some tape.
Shibitronics will explain a parallel circuit.
To turn on multiple LEDs using only one battery, we can use a parallel circuit. Here, connect the positive side of your battery to the plus side of all of your LEDs, and connect the negative side of your battery to the minus side of all of your LEDs. This creates multiple loops that will allow current to flow through all of your lights. You can continue to add more LEDs in parallel. However, they'll become dimmer and dimmer as your battery works harder to power more lights on at once.
So let's grab our template and our instructions and follow along. We're going to attach our conductive foil tape to the gray areas of our template, and this will create a track from our battery to our LED. Make sure you're keeping your positive track separate from your negative track. If you need a little reminder on how to make those corners, you can watch our Paper Circuits video part 1. So once you've got that down, next part is folding over the corner of your template, and we're going to look for the positive side of the battery and the positive side of your track, and we're going to stick those together using the binder clip. Next, we're going to take our LED and we're going to find our positive, which is the long end. That's going to be touching our positive track, and the short end is our negative, which will be touching the negative track of the copper foil. We can go ahead and tape it down using Scotch tape or the copper foil tape. Then we can grab our next LED and do the same thing. Fiddle with those legs to get them connected to the right tracks. And you do want to make sure not to fiddle too long with those little LED prongs because they do get fragile over time and might break. After attaching my third LED light, I'm just fiddling around with this blue one to see if we can get any more light out of this parallel circuit, but it looks like our 3.7 volt lithium coin battery is just enough to power those 3 lights. Next up, paper switch.
A switch is a gap in your circuit that disconnects your LED from your battery. When you close the gap with a conductive material, your light will turn on. When you open the gap, the light will turn off.
I personally like to pre-measure my copper tape because it's a little bit easier to work with when it's a small piece. Now, just like we did before, we are following along with the gray area of our template and making sure to separate our copper foil tracks wherever there is a space. You'll notice this template has 2 spots where there's a gap between the tracks. So just add your copper foil tape to all those gray areas, and don't forget to include that bottom corner gray square or rectangle, because that's going to be our handy little switch. So after you've taped off that rectangle, you can fold the piece of paper where it tells you to. I like to use a ruler, but you can just wing it. Then you fold along the top for your battery. Don't forget to put the positive side of the battery touching the positive track. And now we're finally going to add our little LED. And again, we're going to look for the long prong side to touch the positive track of foil tape, and the short prong is going to touch the negative track of foil tape. And then voila, you've got a switch. Now you can tape those LED prongs down to keep them in place and play with that switch. All right, Shibitronics, tell us all about the blinking slide switch.
The blinking slide switch is actually a collection of many switches put together to control one light. The switches are arranged in a line so that as you slide your finger across, you turn on and off the first switch, then the second switch, then the third switch. This causes a blinking pattern in your light. The faster you slide your finger, the faster the blink.
Okay, I bet you're copper foil experts by now, so you just follow along those gray areas of the template once more and pay attention to the spots where you need to split up your tracks. Very important. So once you've filled up those areas above that dotted line, you will take a pair of scissors and cut along the red line and then fold along the dotted line. So once you've done that, you can grab yourself your lithium battery and, oops, nope, first you're going to fold that top part of the page down, then grab your battery and sandwich it with your clip like you've done before. Now we're going to grab our LED and look for the long and the short prongs. And which side does the long prong go on? It goes attached to the positive track. You know that now. After you've taped down your LED, you can take a piece of copper foil tape and just test out that switch. Looks like it's going to work just fine. Now I'm cutting out 3 pieces for those bottom gray areas of the template. Stick those on. Once they're all on there, you can fold up your paper. Et voila. Uh-oh, I had to refold it because it wasn't quite making contact at first. But once you got it making contact, look at that blinking. Okay, now that we're old pros at making paper circuits, I'm going to show you how to make just the simplest of cards. You can use a template like this one from Chibitronics, or you can just draw your own. Just get an idea of where you want your LEDs. So I'm just going to draw a simple tree design and have the LEDs looking like lights on the tree. So I've marked off where I want my first LED there, just a little dot. So then we know where our copper tape and our LED should be on the back or inside the card. Then you're just going to apply your copper foil tape and create a parallel circuit like we did before. Going to clip down our battery, going to attach our LED, and then we're going to decide where else we want LEDs to appear. So then once I decide, I mark off that spot, then I'll create more track with the copper foil tape so that our LEDs can go in those spots that I've marked off. Now I am breaking this cardinal rule of it's better to use a continuous piece of copper foil tape. However, I like to bend the rules and sometimes it works out just fine. You just really want to make sure that when you're connecting your copper foil tape to another piece of the track, you just really make sure there's good contact between both parts of the tape. Then you just add the rest of your LEDs in the spots that you've marked off, taping them down so they stay in place. And you can fiddle around with what color LEDs, how many you can attach to one circuit. And ta-da! An example of a really simple little light up card you can create. Now the sky is the limit with these things, so as big as your imagination is, go crazy with this idea. And don't forget that your local library has put together these awesome grab and go kits with all the materials and instructions you need to complete what you just saw in this video. You can grab these kits from the Minden and Dysart branches